The poem I chose was Anthem for Doomed Youth, which was written by Wilfred Owen. The poem is divided into two stanzas. The first stanza focuses on the battlefield, and the second stanza focuses on the home front. This poem is essentially about the horrors of war and the loss of young soldiers. It implies the brutal reality of war. I believe this poem to be about World War I. This poem touched me because I have friends and family who are in the military and worry every time they are called to duty. A metaphor that starts the poem out is "What passing bells for these who die as cattle." To me, this implies that the young soldiers who die in war are not given the proper respect or the proper ceremony they deserve. Instead of proper burials, their deaths are compared to the slaughter of cattle. The metaphor I chose for this poem is the world during war is like broken glass. It's shattered. Even though it's shattered, there are still reflections of what is still there and what there once was. Not only does the physical world get shattered by war, but families do also. The three mounds of broken glass are three soldiers who were killed in war, and the shattered glass represents the shattered lives of the families who will never see them again. There is a line in the poem that states, "No mockeries for them, no prayers, no bells." I put a church in the background to represent what should happen for the soldiers, a proper burial. I also added a couple of soldiers standing in the forefront. This implies the reflection of the three buried soldiers who are covered in glass shards, who once fought, and the remembrance of them. When reading this poem, I saw the bodies of young men in a field, hundreds of them, and they were all alone. I felt sadness and anger. I felt sad for those who will not make it home to see their families or to grow old. I felt scared for those young soldiers who are still walking into the unknown. I heard men crying and screaming. I heard gunfire and cannons. I also heard women and children crying in the background. A line in the poem that depicts this is, "The pallor of girls' brows shall be their pall," which implies grief-stricken faces. I smelled gunpowder, smoke, and death. The people who are present are young men, soldiers, and grieving women and children. The poem did a nice job of illustrating how a lot of soldiers' remains were treated. A lot of men never made it home. Overall, the poem has a powerful meaning, which includes the senseless loss of life during a war and how it affects their loved ones. It also depicts how soldiers were stripped of their dignity and humanity by leaving their bodies lie like slaughtered cattle. It contrasts the traditional funeral rites with the harsh reality of their deaths. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch and listen to my presentation, and I hope you have a wonderful day.